All right, we are coming up on the end of Dungeon Meshi. I would have liked to have been basically at the end of the series by this point, but hiccups always happen, and most recently, if you don't check my community posts, I posted, I don't know, like a week ago, that I had some issue happen with my neck, and I spent 3, 4 days, something like that, basically barely being able to move my head because of the pain, and the neck pain is not actually even entirely gone. I still have a little bit of it, but as you can see, I can move my head around a little bit, so it's definitely significantly better than it has been recently. So I'm gonna try to get some recording done here. And also in the US, we recently had our elections, so mentally that's been a little taxing. But we don't need to get into that too much. There is also actually a couple of things that I want to talk about that are directly related to the show before we get into this episode, which is so one, the analogy they made last episode about the comparing like uh human souls to like the egg, the way that like once you have two different eggs like in the same shell, you can't really separate them once they're all mixed up like that. I want to say that not only I want to bring that analogy back up, not only just to say, again, like I did at that time, I thought it was a really cool way of representing what they were talking about, but also there is, I think, something about the way that they used that to describe the situation that I think was very scientific. And I just want to kind of take that example and kind of expand on it to say that like the magic system in a lot of ways in Dungeon Meshi is very scientific insofar as like it makes sense. And I just think that that's cool to acknowledge because like frankly speaking, there are sometimes magic systems where in different kinds of fictitious settings, um, where it's just kind of like you have to take everything that happens for what it's worth as it's happening. Like there's not really a lot of like identifiable logic at play to like how it works, so to speak. And so it's just kind of like, oh, this character's doing this thing and this other thing is happening and it works because that's just how it works basically. And I just think that there's something very, again, kind of logical and scientific about using that analogy because it signifies that like they understand kind of how the soul and like how it relates to, again, just like the way that the world works and involving the magic system and whatnot. It shows that like they have a rough understanding of things, but they don't fully understand it. And again, that's just like that's kind of just how science works. Like we try, if we don't understand something, we try to understand it better. That doesn't necessarily mean that we always have a full and proper understanding of what it is and how it works, but we try to learn more and we try to come up with better ways of like visualizing and understanding, and that's like just how you make progress in those fields, right? And so I just thought that was really cool at the time. And again, I just kind of want, and just after I rewatched the episode, after I finished the episode for my initial recording, like I felt like there was more that I kind of wanted to say about that point, but I wasn't really sure what it was. And after rewatching the episode, I felt like, oh, you know what? This is a good way to kind of highlight just why I think that that was such a cool thing. So there's that. And then also something that I picked up on a little bit was, yeah, so something that I picked up on and I want to make mention of, partially just because I think I was pretty openly not a fan of Shiro previously, and this gives me an opportunity to hate on him even a little bit more, is when Izutsumi is telling Marcial to undo the curses on her, and Marcial's like looking over her body and like trying to figure out what the curses are, how they work, and how to undo them. She asks like, was the spellcaster, what's her name, Maizuru, I think? Was she the one who did this to you? And I don't think that there was a confirmation on that, but I do think that we know, if nothing else, that like even if it isn't necessarily Maizuru who put the curses on Izutsumi, and even if she, and I think that we can probably assume that she's at least the one who like upkeeps them, but even if we're going to like give as many people as possible the benefit of the doubt and assume that like she has nothing to do with any of any of that stuff and it's some other person, like that person still has to be connected to Shuro in some capacity, right? Because this group was Shuro's group of retainers, right? And like this is black magic, right? Like Izutsumi called it black magic. Marcille kind of recognized it as black magic. She tries to make her distinctions, of course, between black magic and ancient magics, but like she recognizes that that's what it is. And so I just think it's on rewatch. I did just kind of pick up on this detail and be like, wow, Shiro's a fucking hypocrite, isn't he? Because here he is, one of his retainers is under curses caused by black magic, and you know he's got people again, whether it's Maizuru or like some other third party that would still again have to be in some capacity connected to Shuro and his group. Like these people are clearly okay in some regard with maintaining these curses on Izutsumi, and yet he had his whole little fucking tantrum about the way that Marcille used black magic to resurrect Fallen, and just yeah, I don't know. I thought that that was I thought that that was a fun little observation, and I wanted to make mention of that. But I think I think that's good. So let's go ahead, and I need to get my headphones on, and we will get into episode 20. I am still having some issues with not really liking how my hair looks under my headphones with its current length, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who cares even a little about that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into the episode starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, a little bit loud. We're fine though. Didn't like blow my eardrums out or anything. And we are starting with the OP. Reminder, since I need to waste some time as we get through this anyways, like the video, please. Give me a thumbs up on the video if you do enjoy what is going on. And now my camera's being all fucky. Lovely. Like the video, leave a comment. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would be surprised if people are jumping in this late into these reactions. But if you are, then subscribe. Check out other stuff on the channel if you're so inclined to do so. Check out my other channel if you're interested in regular reactions, so to speak. Okay, I think the camera's whatever. I'm in the midst of recording. I'm not gonna try to fix it now. Sometimes my camera just like gets kind of framey and like stuttery, and I don't really know why. Like this time in particular, you could say like, oh, maybe it happened because I just started playing the episode that I'm watching. But like there are definitely times where and like now it seems fine again. Maybe, I don't know. Wait, did they add her? Oh my god, they added Izutsumi. Wow, I looked back at the OP at just the right time. Oh my god, that's so cool. They updated the OP for her. I really like that. I really like little touches like that when like something happens in the series and they like update their intro accordingly. Like the rest of it is like basically the same, but they update like something small to indicate like a change in a character's allegiance or something like that. That's really fun. It's not exactly a common thing that I've witnessed, but I have a feeling it wasn't this snowy last time. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I wonder if the door is going to be like wide open. Oh. Oh, that's unfortunate. I know that Marcille has like she's so excited about her sleeping bag. I was gonna say, yeah, thank you, Chilchuck. I know that Marcel has like tons of hairstyles throughout the series, but I really like her current one. I just want to say the little like braid that she's got going on, both over her head and behind. Really like that. No, not the soap. Caught. Ow. Jeez. Okay, Chilchuck. Oh, wow. No, these two are just very unnecessarily at each other's throats. What? Why is there like why is there like a frozen ball or chunk of water here though? Like this isn't like a lake, right? They had to climb up to get to this. So like what is this? Okay. But why is it like so high? Am I like misunderstanding something about the physics of what I'm being shown? Either I am or we're about to see something crazy here. See? Why? I feel like my observation wasn't like I don't think that was a nat 20 on perception that I just rolled. I feel like they could have figured this out. Oh, but I didn't realize it was potentially Senshi's fault for his little doll thing there. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, geez. Ah, thank you, Laos. Okay, and we are suddenly in mortal peril. Did you accomplish anything with that, or are you just showing off? Oh, I didn't even realize she like stabbed it in the head. Oh, look at her go. No, it's just a fish. Huh? Very distrustful. I mean, it makes sense, right? It makes sense that she would have a hard time trusting people, given that, like, again, we know she was traveling with people who, like, oh, who maintained curses on her for the intent of, like, with the intent of controlling her. So, I like how it's just completely ignoring the rest of the party, though. Okay, I thought. I'm glad he wasn't actually expecting that to do something. I'm glad that that was actually part of the plan. I they made her so cool in this first episode as part of the group, right? Also, I don't know if there's actually like a sizable portion of the viewer base who doesn't like Chilchuck, but I just want to say, even if you don't like him, you have to admire how incredibly honest he is. Understandable. I was actually going to say earlier before the Golem thing happened, um, when it seemed like Marcia was having a little trouble with all the snow and cold. Like it's actually snowing where I am right now, and I don't do well with it. No shame. Ah! Yeah, I was gonna say one person might be. Oh dear. Keep Laos away from her, please. uh, Steam. Hey yo, let's make us a sauna. Let's go. I love Martial. Yeah, they still have the blindfold. That thing comes. uh, hey, no, stay. Freaking nightmares. I forgot about the shapeshifter. Wow, he's still got all kinds of ingredients. Jeez. She's being so motherly to Izutsumi. I actually really like it. I was not expecting it, but I really like it. How bored are you? He says. No. Senji's just casually playing keep up. What is wrong with him? Why is he doing that? Oh man. Itadakimasu. Why he's still blindfolded? Incredible. Use your utensils properly. Oh. Why is he okay? Come on. I don't think he needs to be feeding him. Ooh, what is this new fit for Chilchuck? Ooh, new outfits for the cold. No. Why? Oh dear. Ah, was that intentional? You already are one though. I just don't like how it looks. Oh God. Just gives it to Tata. Why did they give her a different name too? Like the fact that Tata almost just called her by her original name and then changed it to the name she was given or what she goes by. Huh. Interesting. I hope we get to learn a bit more about her. You're gonna have to get over your current standards, I'm afraid. Sorry, but no. What is this visual that's happening right now? What? What? What am I looking at? What? Are you sure? Okay. It. Those are some small looking dire wolves. Oh, they're a little bit bigger than I thought. Never mind. Wait. She just abandoned him? Oh, so you're not even going to fight things you don't want to fight either? Ah. Oh, this isn't great. Oh, that's not great. Could cause a cave-in. Yeah. Ooh. Uh-oh. Well, you left her to her own devices, and now you might be suffering some consequences. Tada, whatever. I think I've been calling her Tada. Tade, it looks like. Yeah? She's ah. Okay. Flashbang. Now get it. Yeah. Ooh. No Caven? I feel like when she said that she'd been thinking about how to answer the question, it wasn't just about like actually what she thought and how she wanted to answer. Christ. Um, but I think that she was specifically trying to think of like how to convey what she was feeling to Izitsumi in a way that might help her in a way that might help her kind of like understand and incorporate some of that into her own behaviors and thoughts. Rip. Of course. No. Oh my god. I was gonna say, is that thing bleeding when they started cutting it? But I was like, you know what? It's probably just like a tomato or something. Nope. My initial thought of it bleeding was right. It's so red. Nick. Like how he just keeps calling her cat girl. You gonna like it? Hey, there you go. That's why you try new things. Huh? What is what's the situation in the East like where uh yes. Skipped over all the stuff in the middle. Okay, she needs to stop that though. Exactly. Rip. Nonjun Meshi. That was a really good episode. I know that the I wasn't like I wasn't like hating on the oh god, that's not what I meant to do. I wasn't like hating on the last two episodes or anything, but I definitely I definitely was pretty upfront, I think, about the fact that I like wasn't a huge fan of them. They were just kind of like all right. And it was a little disappointing, just in the sense that like again, we are getting towards the end of the season. I don't think it's the end of the series. I'm pretty sure show got renewed for a second season, right? So yeah, just it was feeling a little unsatisfying that we got like the Red Dragon stuff, into the Chimera Fallon stuff, and then into a couple of episodes that just felt like kind of just like whatever. um, and I was hoping that we were gonna get some more, some more of the stuff that I'd just been that has made me such a big fan of this show in these final episodes, and we really did in this episode. We got really interesting creature stuff. Like there was the direwolves were kind of, those are just direwolves, but the fact that we got to see a new golem, because like obviously it's in a different biome now, so it was like way different than the vegetable garden golems that we saw seen in a previous episode. And then I don't remember what that thing was called, but the sheep plant thing at the end there, as much as I didn't like it, it's still just like such a fascinating concept, right? So there was interesting creature stuff in terms of like the kinds of things that exist in this world. There was really good character stuff with Izutsumi, a lot of really good character stuff throughout the episode with her. And it was also just it was really funny. It was a really funny episode. And again, like so way back when we had the Red Dragon stuff happen and we came upon a skeletal Fallon. um I think that I kind of remarked and questioned at that point, is this going to be a turning point for the show where things are no longer like silly, goofy, zany, and it's like outright just a more serious show now? And we saw relatively quickly that that wasn't going to be the case. But I feel like this is probably the funniest episode that we've had in a while, at least for me. And so that's really nice to see. Is just that the show is still, it can still be very comedic, and again, it can do that while still delivering on all this good character stuff. So just like some of the things that I really liked about Izutsumi. So like one is the first stuff that we saw with her this episode, more or less, was the combat stuff, and I think it is really cool that she does bring a very different kind of fighter to the group, the party dynamic in terms of again like combat. Like she's very quick, very agile. It's if you're looking at things in like sort of traditional sort of fantasy classifications, she's more like a rogue, where we've had like fighters with Laos and Senshi, fighter, warrior, whatever you want to say there. Obviously, Marcille a um, is a spellcaster, a mage, and Chilchuck is like he's a rogue in a sense, but he's not battle oriented. He is agile, he is deft, but he doesn't, again, he's not a fighter. We've like again he's said this multiple times. We've seen this multiple times where like for the most part he tries to stay out of combat because his skill set is looking for traps. His skill set is like picking locks. His skill set is just things that aren't about fighting. And so it is cool to see kind of, in a sense, the other side of, again, like if we're just being like very generic with classifications for, again, just this sort of stuff, then seeing a rogue almost who is combat oriented, who uses their agility to evade attacks, to get around enemies quickly, and yeah, that's just and who uses weapons more like knives as opposed to, big swords, axes, things like that. It's really cool in that sense. But then obviously there's a lot more to that, right? There's a lot more to her and what she brings to the table in terms of the party dynamics. And I mean, yeah, I don't want to rehash the entire episode, but the way that she is a picky eater, the way that she is very individualistic, the way that she is just like very kind of gruff in a sense, and just like not as immediately agreeable as other characters, is just like a really good new dynamic to throw into this kind of party. Because like, as much as because like I think that a big thing for this party in a lot of ways like has been the kind of, the aspect of friendship among different adventurers, right? Even though obviously, Senshi got picked up at the beginning of the series, he wasn't previously a member of the party. um there is still just like a very obvious camaraderie among these adventurers. And even when you look at like other groups, right? It's not just something with Laos's party specifically. Like Kabru is I butchered his name a little bit there, I think. Kabru and his party, like even though Kabru is a bit of a, I don't want to say sociopath, but you get what I mean when I say that he's a little bit like a sociopath, right? Like I don't think that he is one, but like you get what I mean when I say that he's kind of like one, right? But even for him and for his party, like there's still very obvious like care between the members. There's like very obvious friendships between them, and then also with like what was the other group that I wanted to mention? Not Shiro's party. That's a bad example. They're much more kind of like professional, I think, about their relationships for the most part. Even there, there's some that are very different. Oh, Namari and Ponce, those guys. So like even with that group, like when Marcial requested back during the Undyne episodes, right? When Marcial requested Namari like join their party again to go after Fallen, like there was this whole conversation about like how, oh, we can't, from Chilchuk saying like we can't do that to her. We can't be responsible for her gaining this reputation of like just jumping around to whatever party is willing to offer her the most money. We can't make this like we can't facilitate her making a name for herself as like not having any loyalty whatsoever. And then even then beyond that, by the end of that episode, or maybe it was the next episode, whatever, when Tance gives Namari basically permission, like gives her, his blessing almost, to be like, if you want to go back to their party, like, it's fine. I will consider your obligation to our party as being fulfilled, and like, you're not going to have to suffer this bad reputation that we were, that was previously discussed as to why you can't just, up and leave. But she was just like, no, I want to, now that I've joined with you guys, like, I want to be someone who you come to like trust and respect and like treat, as someone like, and like consider to be like a friend or like even like family or whatever, right? So this is just like a very common dynamic amongst adventurers from what we've seen, is this element of friendship and this element of like bonding and belonging, and like again just wanting to be not just a group of random strangers. Again, kind of as Chilchuk talks about, like it can be annoying or a bit off to travel with a bunch of strangers at first, but you get used to it and it can actually be pretty nice. It can actually be pretty enjoyable, and there are benefits to it. And this is coming from the guy who, again, for much of the series has like was very much trying to put on this put on airs and put up this pretense of like, oh, this is just about the job for me. This isn't about being friends. This isn't about, having close relationships with these people. This is just a work thing. And so yeah, and so that there's a lot of just really cool layers to that kind of person joining the party, I think. And to that point though, I did mention as I was going through groups how like Shuro's party does seem to be a bit different. And also during the flashback, some of the things that were said, I was like, I kind of want to know a bit more about what the situation is over in the East. Just to kind of elaborate on that a bit, like we have a Sevi, as she was called at that time, like one of the, I don't think it was Maizuru, I think it was one of the other people, but whatever. Somebody said to her like, you should be, more grateful for us taking you in. And then Tade was talking about like how she was glad to be there and like wanted to do whatever she could to feel useful for having been for like being there and like in there and like taken into their home. And it just like it makes me wonder like how bad are the general situations and living conditions of people there if like the idea is that living in we didn't necessarily see like luxury, right? We were just shown like relatively modest accommodations. And this is supposed to be something that you should be like extremely thankful for, essentially. And this is also coming from people who, as I talked about at the beginning of this video, like this is coming from people who were willing to place a curse on Izutsumi and maintain a curse on her. Like obviously we saw in those flashbacks that like she's been a beast person for a while. So it's not we don't necessarily know like when that happened to her and to what extent Maizuru or whoever else was involved in that aspect of cursing her. But the other curse, the one that was around her neck, the one that I think Chilchuck referred to it as a collar at an early point of this episode, like I think it's very easy for us to say that like that was placed on her by either Maizuru or somebody else who was like again related to Shuro and his band of retainers. So like you're supposed to be thankful for that kind of treatment. So I don't know. It's just and yeah, I don't know. That's it's just like I feel like there is I don't necessarily know that they're going to go out of their way to give us a bunch of information about like this whole other culture that may not even be particularly relevant to what's going to be going on in the foreseeable future for the story. But I do feel like they've given us enough to say that like there is a lot of fleshed out culture stuff for this entire world, and that's just really impressive. That's another thing that I think is just kind of worth mentioning about this series that is just like really impressive and shows that again like a lot of detail and a lot of care and time and effort went into creating Dungeon Meshi. Again, not just the anime but the original source material as well. And yeah, it's just I just again I really like seeing this kind of I just really like seeing things that are this kind of quality. uh what else? What else? I feel like oh, actually, and then briefly returning to what I was talking about with like Izutsumi and her place in the party, I feel like it's not just kind of the broader like Izutsumi Laos's party. I feel like there are a lot of cool individual matchups of personalities and beliefs and stuff as well. Like last episode, we obviously got like Senshi going a bit not necessarily hostile, but getting a bit serious about the way that she treats food. And Senshi obviously is somebody who treats just like food as a concept. I guess that feels weird to say, but you know what I mean, right? Senshi is someone who treats food as a concept and like as what this thing that people need to survive, but also this thing that like people should be able to enjoy. And so seeing that kind of like direct clash was interesting. And those are just very personal preferences and beliefs, right? That's not something that's like this like big macro complex concept. And then we also saw, just briefly, I want to mention the silliness of like her brazenly being like, "Oh, nobody cares about a beast man's body," and then Chill Chuck and Senshi being like, "Laos, no," and like pulling the blindfold on him and like pushing him away and like basically trying to contain him away from her, and so and that's it. Again, it's a gag, but it's also like these again, it's like these individuals have such drastically different worldviews. And so when you have that and you can put them in situations that accentuate, like, oh, yeah, this is how these kinds of different worldviews would interact with each other if given the opportunity to, that's just like, that's how you get good character moments. That's how you get these scenes that are able to either make comedy or make drama and feel very natural to the characters and to the scenes. And it's just like, again, just really good stuff. And of course, there was the interactions with Marcel and Izumi that I kind of talked about like as they were happening, and with both the like the motherly behavior in the first half of the episode, and then sort of like the trying to sort of teach lessons using one's own life experience in the second half of the episode when they were trapped in the caves. Not trapped. I thought they were going to get trapped. They didn't actually get trapped, but when they were in the caves, and then also, I don't necessarily know how I want to talk about and classify sort of this like individual meshing and clashing of Chilchuck and Izutsumi, but their dynamic I think was actually the most interesting one to me this episode. And yeah, again, I'm not entirely sure why I feel that way, or not, it's not necessarily that I don't know why I feel that way, but I'm not sure how to verbalize that one specifically, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. But yeah, I really like seeing the kind of dynamic between those two in particular. And yeah, I don't know, this was just a really good episode, and it's a really good episode in large part. Again, after everything that I've said, this is not going to be a surprising thing to hear me say now. It was a good episode in large part because I think Izutsumi is a great character and a great addition to the cast, and specifically a great addition to this party. And so I am very much looking forward to seeing more of her character, seeing how she develops individually, seeing how her relationship with these others develops. And yeah, I don't know that. And yeah, there was also physical, tangible progress in this episode, which that was kind of like relative to the other stuff that we got in this episode. That's actually a more minor thing that I liked about it. But I do think it's worth saying that, especially because again, I think one of my complaints last episode and about the two previous episodes together was that like we didn't really physically move. It didn't feel like we actually made much legitimate progress in the dungeon and and like where we were going. But this episode, we got that. We got to a new location. We got to see like going to, and we got to see physical actual progress happening, and that was nice as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to these last few episodes now. Not that I wasn't before necessarily, but the fact that we had like our little dip, again, just personal preference wise, our little dip with the last two episodes, and then we went right back like way high up with this one. It's just got me that much more excited to see these last few episodes. So that I think is going to be it now. Again, remember to like the video. If you made it this far in the video, then you really should be giving me that thumbs up. Like, come on, you watched almost 50 minutes of me rambling nonsense and having my reaction and all that, and you're not going to give me the thumbs up on the video? Come on, hit that like button. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and leave a comment as well. It doesn't have to be anything particularly long-winded, complex, analytical, whatever. Just say something you liked about the video, something I said, something I reacted to, even just something about the episode. If you can't think of anything particular that you want to respond to about things that I said or did in this video, then say something that you enjoyed about this episode or something. I don't know. Just comments do really help with the algorithm. I like seeing them, generally speaking, as well. So it's just a nice thing to do, especially for small creators like myself. Subscribe if you're not already, which that Again, that should go without saying. If you haven't subscribed at this point, then what are you even doing? You haven't been on YouTube if you don't know how to subscribe to videos like this that you've spent an extended period of time watching that you clearly enjoyed and you should want to see more of. Check out other stuff on the channel if you're so inclined to do so. We are about halfway through Freerun, and I made a poll recently over on the community section. If you haven't voted in that, you can go do so. Still, because, you know, polls on YouTube community posts don't expire, so you can still go do that if you would like. But it looks like we are most likely going to be watching the Apothecary Diaries after we finish this series, so look forward to that in the near future as well, hopefully. And yeah, if you want to check out my other channel, you can do that as well. But if you are watching the watch-along videos, that is already a hugely appreciated thing from, oh my god, the phrasing got away from me. That's it, we're done. I screwed up the phrasing there at the end. I'm not redoing it. I'm not going to re-record it. I haven't had to re-record anything so far for this video. It was all very nice, very continuous. We're done. Thank you so much for watching. Until I see you in the next one, take care. Bye-bye.